Back to part 3 of the Sunburst component video series, and in this portion we are going to be adding our little coin bead to our component and doing a little peyote work on the back here to position the stone so that it can't spin around on the axis of the thread. So in part 1 of the video, we added our first row of frosted gray seed beads to the outside of our bead frame. Then we came through and did our row of super duos for round 2, and then in round 3 we added the accent beads that you see on the outer edge, but at the same time we stitched back through in such a way that we connected all of our super duos together and straightened out the entire outer bead work to where it would lay on the same plane as the frame. So then when we came back in part 2, I'll flip my beadwork over so you can see better. We came through and we added our row of beadwork on the inside edge of this frame, which consisted of these little black seed beads and then the gray Toho seed beads, accent beads at the top at the same time. We got that accomplished. We then reinforced that loop of gray seed beads and we stitched out and stitched under the thread bridge on the frame. And for the final row, row 6, we added the accent grapefruit beads here. So now we're ready to move on and get our stone added and secure the stone in place. So when we ended off, we had stitched under the very first thread bridge that we used to start adding these grapefruit seed beads around the edge. So now we've come back around, through under that thread bridge. So now what we need to do is go back towards the center of the frame. So we're just going to stitch through the black seed bead. And we're going to go ahead and pull the thread through. It's a little bit tight, so I'm going to get my pliers out. And so now that I've come through my black seed bead, I'm going to stitch into one of my gray seed beads, the one closest to where my thread is exiting. And I'm going to stitch through just one bead. Now we want to add this coin bead into the beadwork. So we're just going to simply pick up the coin and put it to our thread and let it drop down. Then we're going to eyeball and try to figure out what bead is straight across from the bead we're exiting. So I'm currently exiting to the left of this gray seed bead. So I'm going to come up here to the top of the beadwork, directly across, and I'm going to come through the seed bead on the opposite side. I'm exiting to the left there, so I want to come through this bead from right to left. So I'm going to pick the bead I'm going to use and put my needle through it. Just the one bead if I can get it through there. Like this. Right here. It's a little hard to see in my light. Anyhow, so I'm going to go ahead and pull that through. Then you can get a better view. No, let's see, I've accidentally came through a bead over here. No, I didn't. I'm good. All right, so now I've come through that seed bead. I am going to go back down through my coin bead. And then I'm going to go back through this same seed bead. My current existing thread is on the right. So that lets me know I need to go back through from left to right. And what we're doing is we're putting a thread bridge coming in and out of our coin bead on either side of the seed bead, the two seed beads that we're using. And when we pull it all through, you can see that the bead is secure in there. But here's what I was talking about how the bead can spin on those inner threads. So now what we're going to do is we're going to solve that problem. I am on the front side of my beadwork, so all I'm going to do is take my needle and put it right here and go right through the center to the back side of the beadwork, just like that. And then I'm going to flip my work over. So you can see here that my thread is now exiting to the right-hand side of this seed bead. So now I'm just going to do some peyote, and I'm going to peyote all the way around this circle. I am going to pick up a seed bead. I'm going to skip one bead and go through the next one. Yeah, I'm going to pull that bead into position just like that. We're just going to do that all the way around. We're going to pick up a bead. We're exiting this bead. We'll skip the next one and go through the next one. And it's a little bit awkward, but it's doable because I've already done it once. We want to make sure our tail thread is out of our way. And I'm just going to continue on and peyote stitch. I'm going to straighten my needle out just a little bit because it does have a tendency to get bent up on this project. And it works a lot better if it's a straight needle. So I'm going to pick up one, skip one, and go through the next. And I'm going to do this until I've worked all the way around the beadwork. And I have my first row of peyote done. And I'll meet you guys back. And we'll step up and do a second row. So I've worked my way back around, and I'm getting ready to add this last grapefruit bead. I am coming out of the gray seed bead, and I'm skipping over one and coming through the very first one I started from. It's a little difficult to see in this light, but you'll want to go through. It'll be the first seed bead that you started from. So push your needle through that very first gray seed bead you started from. Pull your grapefruit bead into position like that. And then we're going to step up into this very first bead we added in this round. Right there. And we're going to pull the thread through. So now we have completed our first round of peyote. And you can see that we haven't gotten very far yet because our bead is still spinning. But we need to do one more row of peyote. And all we need to do is pick up our grapefruit bead. Straighten my needle a little bit. I'm going to pick up a grapefruit. I'm exiting from this grapefruit. I'm going to just pass through the next one just like that. And pull it through. I'm going to pick up one of our grapefruit beads and pass through the next one. And that's all we have to do until we come all the way around. And we'll add our last one and we'll reinforce. And that will stabilize this spinning stone. And we can wrap it up from there. So I've stitched all the way around, adding my second round of peyote, and I've got my last bead on the needle. So I'm going to pass through the grapefruit bead from my first round, the next one sticking out, which is right here. And then I'm going to step up into the new bead I added, the very first one in this second round. And as I pull that through, I'm going to pull in a circle back across this stone bead like so. And that's going to tighten those seed beads down into that bezel shape that secures my stone into place. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to reinforce myself all the way around this row. I'm going to sew through every bead. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm in my step-up bead. I'm sorry, I apologize. What I'm going to do is I'm into my step-up bead. So this is the second row of peyote here. I am going to skip a bead and sew into the next one sticking up. Skip a bead and sew into the next one sticking up, like that. And I'm going to do that all the way around. So we're going to skip the lower bead and come through the upper bead. Skip the next lower bead and come through the upper bead. And if you have trouble seeing what you're doing, you can do these one at a time. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my time and make sure that I'm stitching only into the upper beads of the second row of peyote here. And take your time until you've sewn all the way back around, only going through your upper beads right here. So now I have secured this bezel here by stitching through just my upper row of seed beads along the top of that bezel. And I'm going to show you guys how to stitch it back out to the outside of the component. So I'm exiting from the top seed bead here. I need to step down through that next lower seed bead right there on a diagonal. And then I'll need to step into the gray frosted seed bead below it on the diagonal. And it's a little bit hard for me to see, but right there is the gray seed bead. So I push through that. And we have stepped down out of our peyote stitching. So now we're coming out of a gray seed bead right there, and we can step, well, I've accidentally went through a thread bridge. So I'm going to fix that by pulling my needle off the thread and pulling that back out, just like that. Because I don't want to have a terrible exposed thread at this late point in the game. I'm almost done with my little component. I just need to tie my thread off. Or add some type of, connector. So I fixed that little problem. And I'm exiting from that gray seed bead. So in order to get to the outside of the frame, I just need to pass back through the black seed bead here close to the frame. Okay, sorry about that. I am exiting from this gray seed bead right here. So I'm going to put my needle through the black seed bead directly in front of it, going out to the edge of the beadwork like so. And then now I can just jump up into the gray seed bead directly above the bead frame in a straight line. And then once again I would jump into the super duo straight above that, which in this instance is the left-hand hole of this super duo here. And now I've gotten myself to the outside edge of the beadwork. And at this point, we could utilize the accent beads here along the edge to add either a bale of beaded bale, where you could add a wire guardian, say between this silver seed bead and this silver seed bead, or do a beaded bale using the black seed beads here. Add a drop or do a number of different things. But since this was just a component video, I'm going to stop right here. All right, guys, so that is it for the final part 3 of the Sunburst component series in my on the alluringbeadboutique.com blog page, and as well as for here on YouTube. I hope you guys like this quick component video and that you will find some beautiful use for these lovely little components. I really love the way that the black and the gray and the coral look together. I think it's a really stunning, nice little contrasting piece. All right, folks, that's all I've got for you for now. I want to thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Head on over to the alluringbeadboutique.com and make sure that you are subscribed to follow my blog. Much more to come in the coming months on the blog site. Have a great day, and thanks for watching.